Hello everyone, this is Amy from BusyBeadsNMaille. I'm back for another video, and today I'm going to do some Kumihimo work. My previous video I did back to the basics for chainmail, so I thought this time I could do back to the basics for Kumihimo. I've done a couple of videos on Kumihimo with the template and the bead count chart, but I didn't explain exactly how to make Kumihimo, so I figured I'd do that today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with just the normal braid, and then I'm going to add some beads and then finish it off with the normal braid, just so you can see what the standard braid just with the string looks like, and also what it looks like with beads on it. So first thing we need to talk about is the tools that you're going to need. Of course, you'll need a Kumihimo disc. You can get these at most craft stores. The one I have is Beadalon, but they have tons of different manufacturers and suppliers out there. And I've got the small one. They also come in a larger ring or larger disc. And there's nothing wrong between the two sizes of discs. I just find this one easier to hold, and because there's less surface area between the center braid and the ends, it doesn't take up as much string. So, but other than that, there's absolutely no difference. So the Kumihimo disc, you're going to need some thread, and this is, I believe this is Ceylon. I also use Eslon, and Ceylon and Eslon are the same thing. They're just two different manufacturers. I don't have a preference between the two. I actually think Ceylon's a little less expensive, but the kind that I use I'll put down below. I'm not sure what the size is. I have it written down. I think it's a Tex 210 or Tex 310 0.8 millimeter. I will put that all below for you, just to let you know, so you'll be sure that you're using the right string. And you're also going to need a braid weight, a weight for the braid as it comes out the middle of the thing. And basically what happens is you attach it to the cording and it just pulls it down as you weave. They have special Kumihimo weights out there. I just use a binder clip with some pennies in it. It seems to give it enough weight, and I haven't ever had any problems with it. I also like it because you can just tie the cording on the end here and it just hangs and it does the job. So if you don't want to buy a fancy Kumihimo weight, or you have all the other supplies except for the weight, just find a binder clip or anything really would work. Alright, and then we've also got the ends of the braid, the findings, and these are glue-in ends. They've got a hole in the middle and you just put some glue in it, and it holds right there. Then we've got a jump ring and a lobster clasp to put attached to this, and actually this lobster clasp, it just so happens it goes through the end, so we don't have to have two jump rings, just one to attach it to one side. Okay, and then we've also got the glue that you need to glue it into the ends. I've got E6000 here, which is perfect, and then I've also got this Gorilla Glue super glue gel. If you're going to use super glue, use the gel. It doesn't run as much and it just doesn't get all over the place like liquid, or like the liquid super glue would. E6000 works perfectly. I've got toothpicks just to apply my adhesive. And then finally, I've got my beads. These beads are from artbeads.com, and it's a bead mix called Swanky Pine. It's a designer blend Toho round size 8 seed beads. Okay, and I really like this color, and I bought a few of these blends. Yeah, that's what it looks like. I bought a few of these blends and I'm always happy with them. I have never been disappointed with one of these blends that I've purchased. So I'm going to go ahead and put a link to Art Beads down below as well. And what I really like about the blends is there's no thinking, there's no thought to it. Like I'm just going to do this in a random way. There's not going to be a pattern to it, and I already know that everything coordinates because they did all the coordinating for me. Alright, so there's the beads. I'm actually just going to put those over there for now. Put the cap back on. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the strands. When you're doing a Kumihimo piece, you want to cut 3 times the length of the piece in cording. So this is going to be about an 8-inch, 7.5-inch bracelet or so, and that includes the ends. So to figure out the length of the braid, you just take the length of the bracelet minus the length of the ends, which I calculated to be over about an inch. It's probably more like 1.5 inches, but we'll go with an inch. So if I want a 7.5-inch bracelet and I have an inch for the clasp and the findings, that means my braid needs to be 6.5 inches. So 6.5 inches times 3 is 19.5 inches, so I'm just going to round it up to 20. So you can cut this thread 2 ways. You can either cut 8 strands at 20 inches and then gather them all together and tie them around the weight, or you can do 4 strands of 40 inches and then you would just fold them in half, take them through the weight and secure it that way. And that's what I like to do. There's less measuring and there's less measuring, less cutting, and it just seems to be a little easier to do it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my thread cut and get that all set up, get the wheel set up, and then I'll be right back to show you how to get started. All right, be right back. All right, I'm back. I've got everything set up. As you can see, I went ahead and put the beads on the strands. We're going to be doing like a 6.5-inch braid. And I want to do about 4 inches of that in beads. And so based on the chart that I made a couple years ago, that meant I needed 24 beads per strand. So I just went ahead and put them on random order, nothing fancy. And then I figured that we'll probably need about 3/4 of an inch on each end so that we can make sure that everything's centered. But I'm just going to go ahead and keep weaving until I get about an inch just to be safe. We can always make it shorter, you can't make it longer. So I want to show you how the wheel is set up. So you're doing 8 strands and you want to do 2 at 32, 2 at 16, 2 at 8, and 2 at 24. Okay, so 32 is going to be the top, 16 is the bottom, 24 is the left, and 8 is the right. Everything's upside down, so I'm trying to do it. So once you get everything strung, and then there's the little penny weight at the bottom. So what you want to do is you want to hold the wheel with the 32 at the top. All right, I'm back, and I don't know if you noticed, but I switched my camera setup. I started to record showing how to do this, where I was doing top to bottom, left to right, or right to left, and everything on my setup before was upside down. So it was confusing me, and if it was confusing me, I'm sure it was confusing everyone else. So I went ahead and switched my camera setup just to turn it around a little bit. So everything's going the right direction, and hopefully we won't be confused. So the first step is basically you're going to be taking strands, strings from top to bottom, left and right, to bottom to top, left and right. And then you're going to rotate the disc. And as you rotate the disc and move the strands, that's what causes the braid to come out the bottom. So the first step is to take the left or the right strand on 32 and take it down to the right of the right strand of 16. Okay, so top, down, right, right. Okay, and then you want to do bottom left on the left of the 16, top left, left of the left on the 32. So bottom, up, so top right, down right, bottom left, up left. All right, and then make sure your strands are pulled tightly. You also want to make sure that your string stays in the middle. Then we rotate the disc a 1/4 turn counterclockwise. and we repeat the same moves. So top right, bottom right, and it's on the right side of the strand, and then bottom left to top left. Make sure they're pulled nice and tight. Okay. Then we're going to rotate it another quarter turn. You're going to do top right to bottom right, and then bottom left to top left. Okay, and then make sure they're pulled tight. And then do a quarter turn counterclockwise. Top right, bottom left to top left. And then pull them nice and tight. Make sure you keep the bead centered, the braid centered. And then quarter turn counterclockwise. And as you'll notice, I'm going to show you something underneath. It's kind of a mess, huh? It gets all messy underneath. So every now and again I just lift it up, untangle them so they're not in one big knot, and then keep going. So we need to do right top to right bottom, left bottom to left top. Pull the strings tight so they're nice and tight, and then quarter turn counterclockwise. Top right, bottom left, top left, pull it tight. Quarter turn. And so you just keep going in this manner. And after a little bit, you'll see the braid coming out of the bottom of the Kumihimo disc. And I'll show you that here in a second. Now, something that's kind of cool is, like, I picked this up and I was straightening out the strands, and I put it back down and I thought, uh-oh, where am I? So I know that I already turned mine a quarter turn because these haven't been crossed over yet. Neither of these have been crossed over. But something interesting, something cool you can do, that if you're going along and you get to a point where, like I said, the doorbell rings, you can do your next step, which for me is top right to bottom right. Okay, and then I can just lay this down, walk away, and come back. And when I come back and pick it up, I'll know where I am, because the bottom has 3, the top has 1, and the only way the bottom has 3 is if I've gone top to bottom. So I know then that I need to go bottom left to top left, and then I can turn and keep going. So just a little tip there. If you get to a spot where you need to set it down and you don't want to forget where you are, just do your next step, but just do half of the step. Just do that part, and then you can set it down and walk away, and you'll be just fine. All right, I'm going to do a couple more, and then I'll turn it over and show you where the braid is coming out. Sorry. All right, so let's see if I can start to show you this braid. All right, I don't know if you can see that. So you can see, there's my knot where I knotted the strands together, and then that section right there, that's all braid. focus. All right, so we've got our inch of braid, and I'll show that to you so you can get a good look at it. We've got our inch of braid, so now we're going to start adding in the beads. So nothing changes with the way you move the strings. The only thing changes is you add a little step in there where you add the beads. Okay, so you still do top right, but you're going to drop one of the beads down. You still do top right, drop one of the beads down, and it has to sit underneath this string. And then you go to bottom right, okay? And then bottom left, you drop a bead down, and it has to go under this cord. And then top left. So you definitely want to make sure your cords are tight. So those beads, there's a bead there. Let me get that out of the way. There's a bead there and a bead there. And you want to make sure they stay underneath those cords. So I turned it the quarter turn already. So top right, drop down a bead. There it goes. Make sure it sits underneath the string that's over here. And then go bottom right. Same thing, bottom left. You're going to drop down one bead, and you want to make sure it goes underneath the thread that's there on the left. I mean, as you can see, there's kind of a nice little pocket for it to sit in there, so it works out perfectly. But you just have to make sure that they stay under there, because if they pop out, they basically end up, if they pop out from underneath, they're basically going to show up inside the weave, not outside the weave. So you won't be able to see it, and you'll have a hole in your pattern. So not very good. There is a way to fix it, but it's not very fun. So I recommend making sure you push the bead underneath, and then just make sure you pull everything tight so it stays there. So same thing, top right, bottom right, bottom left, bead underneath, top left, and then you rotate. Okay, top right, drop a bead, goes underneath, bottom right, bottom left, drop a bead, goes underneath, top left. So that is what it looks like with the beads on it. Pretty cool. There's just a random pattern, no pattern at all. And so you'll just keep going until you run out of beads. And then once you run out of beads, then you're going to do another section like you did at the beginning, just of the braid. Again, on this one, we're going to do it about 1 inch long. And then you put on the clasp. So I'm just going to keep weaving here for a little bit, just to show you the pattern and the repetition. And then once I get it done, I'll come back and show you how to finish it off. Hello, welcome back. I got the beads all put on, and that's what the braid looks like with the beads on it. Pretty cool. And I wanted to show you how to transition from beads back to just thread. It's not really any different than when you were doing it before, but you just want to make sure you get everything nice and snug. So same concept, top right, bottom right, bottom left, top left. But I just want to make sure I get them, pull the strings really tight. Just keep going like you did on the other end until you get about 1 inch. And then I'll show you how to take it off the wheel and knot it so that it won't come loose. And then also how to put the glue in ends on and finish it. All right, so you can see that the braid started again. So we can just keep going like normal. All right, I'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back. I've got the last section of the braid done. So I'm going to show you how to take it off of the wheel. So what you want to do is you want to grab underneath at the very top of where the threads are coming together, and just hold on to that, and then just take the threads off the wheel. Just take them off the wheel and then pull the wheel away. All right, so then what you want to do is you want to make a knot as close to that end as you can. All right, looks pretty good. And then I go through and I make sure I pull each individual strand just to make sure that the knot's secure. Come on. There you go. All right. So there we go. All right, so let's do some measurements. See what we've got. So I needed a 6.5 inch strand, and looks like I got about a 6 inch strand. That's all right. That'll work. Like I said, I'm glad we did an inch on each end, because 3/4 would have been way too short. So that's no problem. We'll make that work. And then our beads, the beads are only 3 1/4, so that might have been some of the distance also. So what I could have done is I probably should have measured this as soon as I ran out of the beads when I was weaving, and then measured it, and then I could have added more beads. All right, so let's get this guy off. So I just take scissors. And cut through the cord. There it goes. And then the extra string down here, just cut it off above the knot. My scissors aren't very sharp. All right. So that is our bracelet. So now we're going to put the ends on. And something that's really cool that I just thought of is, since we're using a lobster clasp, you can actually put an extender chain on here, so it would be a little bit longer. All right, so let me look at the insides of these. Well, that one's got a little something in it. I don't know what's in there. Well, that one's not going to work. There's something in there, a piece of metal, that's actually preventing the hole from going down. So this one wouldn't work very well. And I don't think that these are going to work very well anyway, because I think the cord might be a little too big. All right, so let's see what else we got. Let's see, where did those come from? Those came from here. Let's try though. That might work. But I think they're almost a little small for the braid. Let's try, let's see, we've got those. Ooh, what about these? Yeah, I think I like those. I think that just looks nicer. All right, so let's get 2 of those. Let's put these back. All right. Let's see, does the lobster clasp still go through the end? Oh, it just jumped right out of my hand. Still go through the end? It does. Yay. Okay. So we are ready to go. All right, so I'm going to use the super glue this time. So what I do is take the super glue cap off, And we're going to put, now the nozzle's a really fine point nozzle, so that's a good thing. And we're just going to drop a little bit down into the open end of the glue end finding or cap. All right, so now I want to trim these off so it's not quite so much thread there. Okay. And then I should be able to put that whole knot in there. Yep. I don't think I like that. All right, let's get that out of there before it dries. Let's try. All right, let's go back to these. Only this time what we'll do is we'll put a little bit of glue in there. And that's still open, so it's not glued shut. I can still use it. So let's put a little dab of glue down in there on the opened end. And if it won't go down, just use a toothpick and kind of move it so it goes down into the opening. Alright, and now what we're going to do is we're actually going to, let's see, I want to make sure those are even, so I'm going to cut it right there. Now hold on to the braid below where you're cutting and cut, don't let go, and then push the braid. Got to get all those little ends. Let's go back to those, but this time, and then I'm just going to put an extender chain on it. I think that's the only way to make it work. Alright, so more glue. And then cut. Place. All right, yeah, that looks much better. I like that. Right, hello everyone, we are back, and as I'm sure you can see, we've got a few new things here. As I'm sure you could tell from the last segment, things didn't go quite as planned. This wasn't anywhere near as long as I had wanted it to be, but I wanted to continue showing you this because I wanted to let you know things happen. You don't want to give up. I mean, we just did all this work on this piece. We don't want to throw it away. I mean, that would be sad in my mind. So what I did is I started thinking of different ways that I could make some chain look like it was a piece of the jewelry. So I found this chain in my stash of chain, and I thought it would work perfectly for this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and show you basically, now that we've made the little mistake or had the hiccup, let's figure out how to fix it. So originally I wanted a 7.5-inch bracelet. So I'm just going to lay this on the ruler, and with the clasp it's right around 5 inches. So that means I need 2.5 inches of chain, if that'll stay. Oh, actually that looks better there. I need 2.5 inches of chain. I'm probably going to do 3 inches of chain just to be safe, because then not only does it look like a piece of the jewelry, but it can also then be kind of used as an extender chain. So if somebody wants to wear this a little more snug or a little more loose, then they have that option. So what I'm going to do, and what's cool about this chain, and I honestly can't tell you where I got it. I'm pretty sure it was at like Joann's or Michael's. It could have even been Walmart. Walmart actually has some really decent chain. So what I'm going to do is, with this chain, it has splits in it already. So let's do 1, 2, 3 inches. So we'll take it there, and let's go ahead and, oops, stuck. Let's go ahead and open it up. See if this won't fall. Oh no, it didn't fall. Okay. So it opens just like a jump ring. I'm sorry, I don't think anybody saw that. So it opens just like a jump ring, but I'll show you here in a second. So it has the splits in it already. So you just open it like a normal jump ring. And then I started thinking to myself, well, how do I want this to work? Do I want one end to be attached to the clasp and the clasp automatically attached to this? Or how do I want it to work? So this is what I've decided. I'm going to put one end of the chain through one of our ends. So that's what it's going to look like. Let me get this other stuff out of the way. I'll just put this over here for now. So that's what it looks like with the chain. Okay, so then I'm thinking what we want to do so that we can use it properly as an extender chain is cut it somewhere in the middle and attach this end to the other side. So, I mean, that's my thought process. Let's just work through it together. Nothing wrong with trying to figure out a problem, just because I want to show you guys that not everything turns out the way you want it to be, and this is how you work through the problems. All right, so let's pick, let's see, let's pick right about here. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so let's find the slice in the link. There it is. All right, and let's go ahead and open her up, remove it, and then we're going to attach it to this end. You can see that. Yep, we can attach it to this end. And then close her. Alright, so now this is what we have. Looks pretty good, I think. I think it actually worked out fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach the clasp using this smaller jump ring, and we're going to attach it to one end of the chain. Okay, so close it, make sure you get that closure, the slice in the split in the ring, make sure you get it nice and tight so it doesn't come loose. All right, and that is, for right now, my finished project, or finished product. So let's go ahead and measure it, see what we got. Actually, I'm just going to leave it right there. So overall, it looks like it's about 1 inch and or 8 1/4. But that's all right because we have the chain, so we can make it smaller if we need to, and it's still going to look fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how to use this. It's called a bead buddy. I used to have one a long time ago. I don't know what happened to it, but I found these on Etsy. So if you need these little bead buddies, just search on Etsy, and there's tons of different options out there, different designs. Some are made with wood, some are painted. There's tons of options. So we're going to use the bead buddy. So what we do is you attach part of the chain, nope, like that, okay? And then you want to hold it in your palm, just like that. Pull your bracelet around, and actually this is going to be too big for me, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Let's go to back here. Okay. And then you grab onto the lobster claw, open it up, and then just attach it. Take the bracelet buddy off, and you're all set. So this is what it looks like on. And it's got this little bit of chain that hangs down, but I think that's actually a cool little design. So I like that. I think that worked out just fine. So ran into some hiccups, but was able to recover, fixed it, and now we still have a beautiful piece of finished jewelry. So not only did you learn how to do Kumihimo and add beads, you also learned how to put the ends on. You also learned how to fix the mistakes if they pop up, or little hiccups that happen. So great, this is awesome. All right, I'm very happy. So this worked out just fine. All right, so that's actually the end of the tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them in the comment section below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to give this channel or this video a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so that you get notifications when I submit new videos. Next I'm going to do a Kumihimo flat braid, but I'm going to add rhinestone cup chain. So you definitely don't want to miss that if you are a Kumihimo person. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be seeing you on the next video. Thanks for watching, and happy beading!